about now? That's crazy. Why they doing that? Okay, you can hear me good, bet. Man, they be trying to play me with this shit, man. Okay, cool. So like I was saying, you know what I'm saying, all that voting bullshit, no, we not voting, no. You know what I'm saying, that shit null and void. You know what I'm saying? This a whole new world. It don't even operate off a voting system. So first of all, I could tell you new, you know what I'm saying? But for the most part, what up? It's your boy Dave B. You watch the Dave B on TV where we go beyond the everyday bullshit that people be consuming on a day-to-day basis. And we are here to break down the moon being in Virgo, which we got a few hours before it's fully in Virgo, but the sun is in Scorpio. So with this combination, we're gonna be talking about kind of just what the vibe is gonna be for these next couple of days. You know what I'm saying? What up, Hyundai? So, or however you say Hyundai, what's up? What's up? But for the most part, you know, talking about just energies in general, what we should be looking out for with the moon and Virgo, you know, it's time to get to work. You know what I'm saying? It's time to kind of take some of your feelings out of the mix, right? But we still in Scorpio season. So what we're working on is our emotional, basically our emotional frequencies and things like that. You know, when you're looking at Scorpio energy, Scorpio deals with a fixed water. So this is a concentrated water. This is a concentrated feeling. So we might need to work through fixed or stuck emotions. So that could look like, you know, various different things. This is a good day to do a lot of shadow work, you know what I'm saying? Next couple days, because with the Virgo energy, the opportunity there is to work through fixed emotions, to move through these different things that you might be holding on to that have developed themselves as emotional biases, right? And we talked about, you know, in previous lives about how emotional biases alter your perception. So when you're trying to be the best version of yourself and you're trying to be authentic and be genuine, if you have too many emotional biases, these things get in the way of that authentic expression. That's when you start to second guess yourself. You're like, wait, should I express this? Or what are these people going to think about this? Or you might start to express yourself in a way that you're trying to get in, well, being that the moon is leaving Leo, you might still be in a form of trying to use ways of expression to kind of manipulate and get certain reactions or attention in a very manipulative or behind the scenes way. So right here, you know, moving into the moon of Virgo, this is like where you really need to look at yourself and be a bit honest with yourself. You know, kind of take the hard look at what's going on internally and decide for yourself whether or not, you know, you on the right track or not. Because and on the right track, I just mean, you know, really being clear in getting to the root of what's leading you on, you know, different paths to maybe go against yourself in a sense. And when I say go against yourself, I mean, you know, with what areas of life are you lying to yourself? Are you trying to tell yourself something that is, again, we all have something that we're striving to, you know, either get better at or become, right? And that should be rooted in who you really are. But sometimes things get in the way, like expectations, maybe even your current circumstance, different things that you're facing on an individual level that other people just can't understand or help you with. Even if you do, if you were to tell the people in your life what you're dealing with and what you're going through, everybody got their own thing. And it's like, you know, it's only so much you can really do before you realize that it's pointless to sit here and bitch and complain, you know what I'm saying, about what's going wrong in your life. And it's up to you to sit with yourself and actually directly handle what your problem is. You know what I'm saying? If you got problems, everybody got problems. So what? You know what I'm saying? And that's not to say that you can't share empathy with another individual. It's not to say that no one is here to be in your corner and help you. But again, you should understand that no one can help you until you decide to help yourself. And by default, you'll attract people who are helping themselves. And when everyone is in a space where they're more wired and geared to help themselves, by default, it makes people more helpful to others in their life. You know what I'm saying? People who can't help themselves won't even be help to you anyway. You know what I'm saying? Because anything that they do for you is probably going to be uh, kept with some kind of resentment or some behind the scenes, like, you know, jealous energy or things like that. And you got to be very aware of that, especially the behind the scenes energy currently during Scorpio season. You know what I'm saying? Doing favors with people. You got to keep an eye on who you see coming around with desperate energy, desperation on their face, desperation in how they move, and the different things that's on their mind. You know what I'm saying? You got to be very, you know, aware of who might be coming at different angles when it comes to that. But, you know, one of the things about this season, Scorpio season always brings about a certain level of paranoia. So you also have to, again, this is where the moon in Virgo kind of kicks in, because of course when the moon is in Virgo, people will tell you like the stress levels increase. You might be more worried about certain things. And when it comes to those, the things that worry you and stress you out, um, wherever the moon is at, that's going to bring that vibration, right? But where the sun is where is how we're gonna act on it, right? And what house you have the sun in, of course, is going to be the area of life you're paying attention to and acting in. But for the most part, just talking about the energies in general before we even get to the house, these influences of energies I was talking about in the last live stream, the moon in Virgo is going to make you start to worry and question and maybe get on your in your interrogation bag. So you're going to start to be wanting to get investigative, like, what's going on with this? What's going on with this? And that's the thing with Scorpio being the sun. How you going to go about it is very deep. So you have to understand, okay, what are you directing your attention to, and what are you digging deeper into? Because there's working on yourself, and then there's distracting yourself with things based upon your insecurities. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to Virgo energy, it's great for getting the details, but one thing about Virgos, they can go on and don't know when to stop trying to pry open something or criticizing things. They might not know when to stop complaining. They might not know when to stop looking at the negative side of something. You know what I'm saying? Like the perfectionist energy. You know what I'm saying? Virgo energy just carries that aura. And that's that mixed with Scorpio, which is the king, queen of you know what I'm saying, the king and queen of basically obsession and going way too far with things, going way too deep with things. If you mix these two in the same energy, then you're going to be obsessive about these details when you might be missing out on the bigger picture or something, right? You might lose context by being too concentrated on how something is making you feel. And the first feeling you're going to get from Virgo energy is all the things that you see are going wrong. So this is, again, intense criticism towards the external things. And see, when we're talking about different octaves of energy, right? When we go through different transits, you're either riding the wave in a higher octave way or you're riding it in a low octave wave. And sometimes you're just doing the mundane thing, right? Mundane is like, hey, nothing's really swaying you this way, nothing's swaying you that way. It's a pretty average day. And again, depending on what you're doing in your life and where you're going, you might not have nothing big that you want to focus on. Or, everybody's different. Your more intense transits might be in different energies, and every now and then we hit pockets of time where the universe is telling us, hey, you could chill out for a little bit. And it's not really chilling, but it's it can be chilling. But when you on your mission and you in your bag, it's more like intentional rest. So you're resting during these times and stuff, and that's cool. We're going through a waning period as far as the moon cycle, so we're not even supposed to be in high moving, doing too much, right? Everything we need to be doing now is more so on the shedding end, letting things go. But when it comes to, just going through different transits, high octave versions of the energies and low octave versions of the energies. When you're looking at the high octave version of this energy, like I had put in the title, you know what I'm saying? It's a matter of what I actually, I forgot what I put as the title. I made it last night, but it's basically you're going to work on things, you know what I'm saying? So you're either working and digging on, you're digging deeper into what your aspects of yourself that you're trying to fix. So you're working on yourself, or this is going overboard with criticism. So you could be breaking yourself down based upon what you don't see manifesting in your life, things that you're not quite comfortable with going on in your life. And you have to be very aware that being in too many of these spaces that are negative, they can slow you down overall. So after a while, it's like if you're bogging yourself down with negative thoughts and ideas, and you're criticizing yourself, right? But that's not inspiring you to actually make change, then you have to readdress how your approach is. One thing about this Scorpio energy is correlated with Mars. So Mars is here to go to war with things. And again, you're either going to be going to war with yourself, but if you're going to war with yourself for the wrong reasons, then this is where you dig yourself deeper in a hole. And an example of that, right, going to war with yourself in a negative way is when you're overloading yourself with thoughts and feelings that are correlated with things like shame, guilt. Now, Shame, the things we feel shame is a very deep emotion. Shame is one of those emotions that you won't even realize that your actions and the way you're moving is fueled by that until you sit with yourself and really examine how you're responding and how you're treating yourself. Because remember, when it comes to spirituality, it's kind of spirituality, right? Is linked to individuality, and it's how your individual conversations with God go, right? And God is a concept of all possibilities. You as a piece of all that, of a piece of all possibilities, that's your connection to God in a sense, right? So when you're talking to yourself and you're trying to get clarity on whatever it is that you're observing, right, what you're experiencing, and you're observing your experience, the conversations you're having is your relationship with God in a sense. So if that conversation, right, is fueled by things like the subconscious issues that you haven't quite addressed, things you're not quite understanding, because acknowledging the fact that you have shame in a certain internal side of yourself or something going on within you, acknowledging it is you facing the subconscious. It's like you having subconscious awareness of that, and once you have the awareness of it, then that can modify your way of speaking to yourself, because now you could have a certain level of grace, and grace is like another form of understanding of space. It's like you can have grace for yourself when it comes to how you deal and communicate with yourself, and communicating with yourself in this sense is you talking to God, right? So it's like the better you can talk to yourself, the better you can basically gather yourself and then take that information from the observation you're making internally and externalize it as actions, movements, and even development of thoughts and feelings, ways to go about life that can be beneficial for you. But if you are fueled by shame and you're not aware of these things, then the way you talk to yourself is going to be not in a supportive way. And I'm not saying make excuses and justify poor decisions and poor behavior. What I'm saying is there's a certain way to handle yourself when you're addressing some of the deeper aspects of yourself that have that either was caused by trauma or have created trauma in your life and things like that. And so it goes very deep. And so that's why this energy is a sextile by alignment, which is an opportunity, but this opportunity can also be very negative depending on your perception and your approach to you healing, you going through the process. It can be very healing though if you're able to look at these things and address them with the right attitude. You know what I'm saying? Because again, we all got different things that we've gone through, that we've done, that it's like that's a part of your past. But if you allow yourself to be stuck in that, then you kind of do yourself a disservice. You kind of ruin your own life in a sense, because where what you could have built on and made something beautiful out of, you allowed something in the past that maybe damaged you. You allow that damage to become baggage that now, if you keep it internalized, it's going to become the very same thing that you utilize to hurt others and to uh, basically put others in the same space that you was in. And this is what spirits do, on and on and on. It's like, as a spirit, that's even when they talk about being possessed and things like that. And that's even the reason why in life, when you're making certain strides towards different goals, you'll get hit with feelings and thoughts that are not yours, but are the thoughts and feelings of other spirits in that went down that same direction. That's why it's very important that you even check the names that you use for yourself, what you call yourself, and what you surround yourself with, and the different even items in your room. That's why they even tell you, what I'm saying, when you go to places like Goodwill and stuff like that, and let's say you get an outfit, or you get some clothes, and or you get furniture and stuff, you have to, it's wise to do some kind of cleansing process, because you don't know the spirit who had that shit on before you. You don't know who had that before you, and there's certain items you shouldn't even get as a lend, as a borrow. You shouldn't even get some certain items from Goodwill and stuff like that, hand me down items, because depending on the space that another individual was in when they had those material things, there could be reminiscences of those thought forms on those items. And if you're not aware of, where your energy begins and where another one ends, you know what I'm saying? If you're not aware of your space, you could easily be kind of in a sense possessed by certain things. And when I say possessed, I'm not talking in spookism and ways to get you, oh, possession. But it's a very real thing. When we talk about possession, let's look at what it actually is. And that's all it is you having a thought and feeling on your heart and mind that is not yours. And folks get possessed every day. You know what I'm saying? Again, you might think, oh, it's a ghost that goes into your body. No, it's a thought and feeling that you then adopted based upon something you was interacting with, but that's not genuinely you. And that is the number one problem of majority of people's issues in life, is that they adopt too many thoughts and feelings that's not theirs, and they run with it. And before they know it, they manifest situations that are, in a sense, out of their hands, out of their control. Because see, when they say things in the Bible like God won't give you nothing that you can't handle, what they mean is, as an individual creating your own experience, if what you're doing, the path you're walking is genuine and authentic, therefore there's nothing to be afraid of, because you're creating things that were made for you. That's your destiny. But when you allow the thoughts and feelings of others to influence how you go about living life and what you create as a reality around you, before you know it, you're facing things that was not even designed for you to face. So therefore, these are things that are kind of out of your hands, out of your control. And some people are able to manage these things, but just think about this. Let's relate it to real life. Let's say you was a kid that grew up and your parents told you to live a certain lifestyle, go to college, do this, do that, right? Let's say you, in your heart, you really wanted to do something else, but to keep them happy, and just because you didn't know any better, you went along with their pathway, right? Well, guess what? You get to a point where you realize that the issues that come from the consequences, because every choice we make has consequences, the natural consequences that came from walking a path that was not really genuinely yours, is the stress that you feel, the overwhelming feeling that you feel, the burden that you feel. And now you're sitting there with these burdens that you don't know how to address and handle. And this is how majority of people end up, in circumstances that are just unfortunate, whether they go crazy, end up in an insane asylum, they go to jail, they end up flat broke, saying, on the side of the road somewhere, losing their mind, half lucid, what I'm saying? All these things stem from being overwhelmed by experiences that were created from a mentality that wasn't, genuinely them. Because remember, genuine, when I say things like that, genuine and authenticity, these things, if you want to think about them, right, that as a spirit, this is where your originality comes from. Like I said, spirit is individuality, is your individual space. So as a spirit, that's your individuality. But the spirit is what creates the organ that we consider the mind, right? So as the mind being created from that spirit, right? If your mind is created in a way that is modeled after things that are not from your originality, not from your individuality, what's going to happen is it's going to be kind of like you're not even going to know how to operate that system. It's like if you was to design a computer, but the operating system on that computer, the things that make the apps on the computer run, if that is not designed in a way that can that you can interpret as the person who's trying to use the computer, then it's going to be a like the programs ain't going to run on that computer. The program's not going to run right if the I don't want to get too technical and go too far with an analogy, but I feel like y'all understand what I'm saying. It's like, um a lot of times who we really are isn't the mind we create based upon the pressure, who you was raised by. And when I say the pressure, I mean the pressure from society, outside, for out external things, the people who raised us and things like that. They had different things on their mind, and so we end up building a mind, developing thoughts, feelings, ways of responding to the world, or ways of reacting based upon trying to protect ourselves. Because as kids, when you grow up, that's the first thing you're trying to do. You're trying to find your place in the world, and you feel naked, you feel unprotected. If your parents ain't the ones who's protecting you, guess what? You have to figure out how to do it yourself. So this is where we even get the creation of what they want to call attachment styles, like whether you're an avoidant person or an anxious person. These are things developed in childhood based upon relational issues, relationship dynamics, and ways that you were internally trying to protect yourself. So you, as a spirit, you are who you are, but your mind, in this being that your mind is an organ, it's a body connected to your animalistic natures, and what's comfortable. Again, if you're looking at the hierarchy of needs, these become the root chakra things. These become the safety, just security, ways of survival. then what gets developed is a mind that's not in sync with the spirit that created it. And see, we get so lost in what we create as a mind that when we grow up and we're adults and we have the autonomy to live, and we're actually responsible for creating the life around us to look like how we want it. This is why we find ourselves in very different circumstances than what we desire, very different reality than what we would like and what would feel good to us based upon our spirit. Again, like I said, that individuality designing a mind, but that mind was designed to protect just the body. You know what I'm saying? The spirit already understands certain things to where it's like your, your spirit operating things. All it knows is how to create. So you've created a mind that would best suit. And see, the thing is, when your body is going through different things, and when you're experiencing different you're going through different experiences, that's all you really. It's like, this is why certain things like this isn't the fact that these things that I'm talking about aren't taught is the reason why people don't know how to even associate the two. You know what I'm saying? People will continue to do things based upon what the body needs and what feels safe and comfortable rather than actually taking authority. And even though it feels uncomfortable to the body, going through kind of those trials and tribulations of, because what I'm getting at is like, as a spirit, right? To be able to have the foresight to see something a little bit further or beyond like what's right in front of you, it takes you kind of going through that uncomfortable space, that unknown space. You know what I'm saying? That's exactly what even God did, in a sense. You know what I'm saying? God was like, when we talk about the Genesis story and things like that, and then there was light. You know what I'm saying? God, the nature of God, all possibilities, is sparking things and making something out of nothing, in a sense. So it's no thing, but it decided to make something and utilize that thing to create travel and go through an experience. So that's that process. Being that these things aren't taught, what we grow up knowing is just what our mind reacts to. So it's like, that's how they teach people. It's like, that's why we say things are in reverse, because people learn more so from survival mode. So all you know or think to be true is what your mind has already created as a blockage, so, or what your mind has already created as a, this is how life goes. So, by the time you're even aware of making your own decisions and choices, right? Let's say the age of 18, you already done created so many defense mechanisms based upon you thinking that life is about whatever is on your mind. And then nobody teaches even teenagers when they're going through those times of intense hormonal changes, and you're getting all these new feelings and you're thinking about so many different things, especially in today's time. Teenagers are pressured with concepts and thoughts of things that are way beyond even their comprehension. You know what I'm saying? At a certain time, a teenager wouldn't have certain things like, think about a teenager online right now, looking at other people, like even the people in their age group, like Casanat or something like that, who are living these extravagant lives and going on trips and, going out the country and doing amazing things that are, again, of course, it's going to entice that kid, that 14-year-old, 15-year-old, going to be like, yo, I ain't doing, like, that kid's mind is like exploding, because it's like, damn, like, there's so many things in the world I'm not even doing. I'm stuck in this math class, and here somebody is my age on a jet and private jet having, conversations with X, Y, and Z. And so, again, in today's time, especially, like, the teenagers, like, I really feel for younger people, because it's like their minds are already in. I remember, like, even when I was coming up, I realized that, like, I think even my parents would say that it was like I would come home with homework and they was like, damn, we didn't even learn about this until we was X amount of age older. So the education system was already introducing more complex concepts to younger children, right? That's a natural thing that the education system does. But beyond their education system, just the way the world is, people are, again, these kids, these young teenagers and things are coming up with awarenesses and pressures and thoughts and stresses that are way beyond even their comprehension. The frontal lobe, what they call it, the frontal lobe, or I think that's what it is, ain't even developed until what, 25 or some shit like that, 26. So it's like you can imagine a 15-year-old dealing with problems or stresses or concepts that are 10 years ahead of their own mental development. You know what I'm saying? And so that's going to create very strong kind of again, defense mechanisms, anxiety, and things like that. And then they give the kids access to things like jewels, them little smoking, them vapes and stuff like that. They give kids access to miniature drugs, basically things that, like how they say gateway drugs. That's basically what they feed kids, basically to numb their mind even earlier. You know what I'm saying? Feeding them like, that's exactly what a vape is, basically a gateway drug, and it looked fun and they give all these flavors and stuff like that, and before you know it, the kid is a junkie before they even get to a place to make a decision from a conscious, what I'm saying, a strong mental point. And it's very fucked up, what I'm saying. That's why we ain't voting, what I'm saying. That's exactly why. No, ain't no voting around here, because this shit is designed a certain way. You know what I'm saying? I ain't even gonna go too far, too heavy on that. But all I'm gonna say is this shit is designed a certain way. It's a game. You know what I'm saying? So moving forward, this is a golden opportunity that we have to establish a new system. And again, that sounds like a fairy tale. It might sound like that, like something that's unrealistic to somebody watching, but it ain't nothing more, nothing less than creating a community, people coming together, building together and things like that. And of course, like I said, certain conversations nowadays, they need to be happening in person. So I'm not even going to use this live stream to go into those details. But again, with the different things that we do when we meet, when we link up in real life, that's when we are having those conversations. That's when we're going to be doing certain things like that. And what we've been doing the last couple of years is really just a warm up. But real serious conversations are being had and behind the scenes. But this is just a prime example of why what you see going on right now is just, it's not okay. It's all designed a certain way. And again, you can point fingers, you can blame, you can get mad, you can, but again, let's think a little bit further than that. Instead of getting mad, understand the way the game is played. You know what I'm saying? The best players don't let certain things upset them, as far as how the game is set up. Like how they say, don't hate the player, hate the game. So instead of looking at the players of the game and being like, oh damn, fuck you, and you gotta, do this, do that. Instead, understand a little bit further. You know what I'm saying? Be a coach in the shit. Don't be just a foot soldier. You know what I'm saying? Be a general. Get a wider perspective. And if you can't see the wider perspective, link up and support those who got the wider perspective, who could see a little bit further and put you to use. You know what I'm saying? And when I even say that, I say that in the most respectful way possible, where you're not sacrificing or becoming a martyr for the wrong things, but you're trusting those who have maybe a vision or something, a mission that you also believe in or you also agree with, to allow you to be a part of that. You know what I'm saying? And you have to play your part, which is again at the essence of it all. We all have a responsibility to ourselves to be the best version of ourselves possible. You know what I'm saying? So that is these things are synced together. But getting back on point, talking about the moon in Virgo. So the moon in Virgo is really just getting deeper on the inner workings of ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Everything about Scorpio season is going to be about uh kind of basically getting to the root of things, getting to the truth of things. That's what Scorpio is best at. Same thing with Virgo too. That's what they relate on. That's why it's a sextile, because it's they both all about truth. But the thing is it truth or is it paranoia? You know what I'm saying? Are you investigating and digging into the right areas, or are you kind of still uh reactive and more so doing things, investigating based upon uh what you're afraid of? You know what I'm saying? Everything around, and that's kind of why around Scorpio season, Halloween and people talk about, spooky season and all these different things, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to that boy Fast, you know what I'm saying? What up, dude? It's been a minute. But that's why around this time it's all about spookyism and shit. And you got to be like, you got to keep it, that's what they created and stuff. Oh, Halloween, they always gonna create some kind of weird holiday, right, to get people into a space to think everything is fantasy and a joke or some kind of imagination. But this is very real things. People are not people. You got to think about even the psychology of how holidays influence people, you know what I'm saying, people's minds. It's like, a person will kind of sacrifice their own self-discovery and ignore the things that are making them anxious and fearful, and instead substituted with getting invested into the celebration of somebody else's concept. So they'll throw on a costume, but they don't realize their fear that they feel every day when they wake up and they don't know what they're going to do for the next day. Their fear is creating an ego that is working as a costume that's getting in the way of their authentic expression. So, it's like a deep psychological thing. Like, and that's kind of what they do with all different platforms and stuff, and why we have to be vigilant and aware of how we are using different things to substitute. Basically, think about it like this, right? People get, like, this is a common thing. People will pick up their phone, open up Instagram or open up Twitter, right? Scroll, 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 right? You either get stuck scrolling or you realize you scrolling and ain't nothing really on there. So you turn it off, maybe put the phone down, but then 2 seconds later you pick the phone up and open the same exact app and refresh, and it's still nothing. And you'll do that over and over again. And you got to ask yourself why. Again, impulses. The impulse to check social media constantly, open the app, do this, scroll, look this, look at that. You know what I'm saying? You jumping from app to app to app to app. The impulse to do that, where is that coming from? And it could come from it's rooted in an emotion. And it's either an emotion like, you know, whatever emotion it is, it's rooted in you not necessarily wanting to feel that, whether it be boredom, whether it be loneliness, whether it be insecurity or uncertainty. A lot of times the reason why you hooked on these different things is because of your own, you not wanting to feel certain things, or you desperately wanting to feel. It's like, even in you wanting to feel another feeling, like let's say you trying to get a dopamine hit, so you trying to find something to cheer you up or something like that. Again, you searching for that feeling is you trying to not feel maybe how you currently feel, whether that's bored, lonely, or insecure, uncertain about what you're gonna do, or what you're already doing. You know what I'm saying? Because we are doing something, but you might be uncertain about whether or not that's going to be successful. So these things are what is firing off at the mind when we grab these apps and we jump on these platforms. And again, I'm talking about, the social media, but this is why people even pick up a blunt, even pick up a drink, even pick up, you know what I'm saying, all the other things that people get addicted to. So that's kind of what I'm getting at, is like, in order to curb, like right now, it's like really important. Like when we talk about spiritual warfare, you might think of some kind of fantasy land, we fighting the good fight and stuff like that. But spiritual warfare, think about what spirituality is. It's about individuality. It's the individual fight that everybody got with their own mind. And the spiritual warfare on the other end of it, what we're up against is these different things, the lack of impulse control, the lack of ability to kind of think for ourselves in times of high stress and high emotion and uncertainty. You know what I'm saying? We have to take back control of our own mind in the sense of that. Like my when I look at what spiritual warfare really is, what I see it as is the fact that, again, the majority of the world is addicted to these platforms, but it's like their mind is going to them. So they have no control over their own decisions or discernment over how they interact on these things. And how I'm speaking, I'm not even trying to sound like I'm speaking down on anybody, because again, I'm an individual too with these apps, trying to navigate the world and life, and figuring out what's best for me. So, again, I'm not even talking about it like it's something to be ashamed of. Again, shame, but it is something to be aware of. So in your own individual fight, you have to define your balance and define how you engage with these different things so that you can protect yourself. And that's you fighting the good fight, is you having enough autonomy, you having enough power and control over yourself to know, okay, this is what I want to participate in, this is what I don't want to participate in. I'm going to give energy to this, I'm going to give less attention to that. I'm going to use my time with and fulfill it with these things, right? Things that look like more beneficial to you as a person. You have a responsibility to live a healthy life. You know what I'm saying? So take care of yourself. If you know that you need to be at the gym at a certain time for your own well-being, then get to the gym and stop doing things that you're using as an excuse, because everything is a challenge. Everything is going to come with a certain requirement of effort. And what I see happening is people are losing that connection to their willpower. They losing a connection to their drive based upon them just being in this loop. And the loop is, I don't want to feel this, so let me try to substitute it with that. I don't want to feel that, so let me substitute it with this. And before you know it, you in this cycle, and you realize when you look up and you peek outside the cycle, you realize you've gone nowhere. You know what I'm saying? You realize, damn, like I've been on the same block for half my life. I've been on the same block, just circling around, circling around. It's like interesting, even through different things going on, like the little Dirk thing, and how he getting locked away. But you think about it, and it's like you look at somebody in that position, it's like, damn, like, again, I don't know the dude, but from my perspective, it's like, damn, bro, you was making bread. I think he got the keys to the city at one point in Chicago or something like that. It's like, y- but with the personal things and what individuals going through, I'm not going to act like I even am invested to know about all those things. But it's just like, it's interesting to me how humans move, you know what I'm saying? Because you would think like somebody in certain positions, why would they even be in a situation like that? You know what I'm saying? Why would they be around individuals in a certain way, in a certain fashion, living a certain lifestyle when they've, in a sense, from the outside looking in, achieved what majority of the world is striving to be? Majority of the world striving to have money, striving to be famous on some regard or have influence, right? To be handed the keys to your city, to come from where you come from and reach a level of status and influence that you can really make some kind of change or impact, and then to, in a sense, piss it all away due to street games, something that's cyclical. It's a cycle, and it's dragging you down. You know what I'm saying? It's something that you have to break free from. You know what I'm saying? And even there's interviews of him getting advice and going, and getting the same thing like fed to him. People kicking that game to him and stuff like that. Like I said, I'm not even a person who get into celebrity lives, but I do look at them as spectacles. You know what I'm saying? It's interesting to see, because they represent energies and they just got a lot of attention. So with their attention and their status, it's like you can see that influence of energy play out on a larger scale. So it's cool to, sometimes I say it's cool, but it's interesting to look and dissect what how certain things play out. But again, that's just goes to show you, like, if you reach a certain, like, that goes to show you that even with the things externally that you want to maybe strive for, right? Whether it be status or money or anything like that, if whoever you are before you get those things is what you're going to be when you have those things later. So, this is why, for anybody watching my shit and who have aspirations to be better than who they are today, and bigger than, and when I say better than who they are today, I mean, like, we all, again, being the best version of yourself. Anybody with aspirations, I'm kicking is game to help your mind develop at the stage where it feel like you ain't got shit. When I'll tell you right now, you got a lot more than you even think. This is stuff I have to tell myself. I have a lot more than I even know. Just being who I am and where I'm at, even though I got aspirations and goals and I'm striving for something bigger. Whoever you are right now today, is powerful, and you have to acknowledge that, and then also make that effort to, it's like the small things, man. It's the small things on this level you're able to develop and fix for yourself, that are going to make a even bigger impact later. Because think about all the shadow work you're doing now, the shadow work mixed with the consistency externally to get up every day and do what you're supposed to be doing. Shit, whenever you do get it, you're gonna be so cold with it that nobody can trick you out that position. There won't be no case to be made. There won't be nobody around you with wires and shit like that, tapping your phone and stuff like that. You'll be in a position where it's like, damn, I did all the shadow work, and I done worked on myself so much before I had the bread, that now that I got the bread, the shit is damn near like, it's too much of it. It's an abundance of it to the point where damn, I gotta give some away. You know what I'm saying? And that becomes you also inspiring others and giving others opportunities and stuff like that. But getting back to the moon being in Virgo. So the moon in Virgo is going to be trining Uranus. So again, this is a another power up alignment in the sense that we have the gift to be connected to our individuality. So the things that we should have been learning previous moon cycle. So when the moon was in Leo, it was squaring Uranus. Those things can now be turned into a gift if you learn the right lessons. And this is why, again, when we look at astrology, all these things we need to consider them in progression. You know what I'm saying? It's not just like, oh, this day and then tomorrow is a completely new, yes, tomorrow's a new day, but if you really, understand these things, you start to see a ebb and flow, a movement of energy in which it can kind of help you create a story that'll motivate you on your journey and things like that. Because remember, your testimony or whatever you want to call it, the different experiences you go through, you're writing a story. You are the narrator in your own journey, in your own story. So you want to make that one to remember, And again, I'm not saying you got to be doing some crazy stuff and that the mundane ain't interesting, but it's just like, you know, make your life worth living. You know what I'm saying? You got to really make your life worth living, even if you're doing some very simple stuff. Like even that's beautiful. But that's aside the point. But the moon trine in Uranus, again, the gift to be connected to your individuality. So this is where you can start to, put pen on paper and start to get things solidified as far as your who you are and what you're working yourself through. And this could lead you to better conclusions on maybe how to conduct yourself, right? Because we still got Pluto and Capricorn. So that's somewhat of it's like a light grand earth trine. And I say light because Pluto is making its way into Aquarius. It's about to be in there pretty soon. So even that in and of itself, it's a gift to be able to be connected to your individuality because that's giving you signals, information, and insight on how to conduct yourself and what transformations. It's like you can kind of start to also be connected to the transformations necessary that's going to allow you to conduct yourself in a way that matches the status that you want to be at, and the status you should want for yourself should be one that's authentic and genuine. So it's kind of like in that same vibe, you know what I'm saying, in that same kind of vein, if you will. So hey, shout out to Kiera. You said I've been watching this whole time, just realizing you're live. Oh shit, yeah. So good shit. Yeah. Glad you was able to make it to the live. So yeah, when we move into the moon being, yeah. So yeah, that's the trine. You know what I'm saying? The trine is just that whole correlation. It's like we really do have a gift right now to, like I said before, do a lot of deep shadow work and understand kind of what's going on beneath the surface of things and getting to the root of what's maybe causing anxiety, what's maybe the redirecting you to you know what I'm saying? It's just all different things. Like really the mind is one of the most how they say the mind is a terrible thing to waste. Is like you really do want to just take the time to explore what's on your mind, explore what's on in your subconscious, really. And I'm not encouraging anybody to do this prematurely because I also believe that everybody has their own pace with things. So you might not be ready to face certain things going on in your subconscious yet. You might not be ready to kind of dig deep and stuff like that. And some people prefer to go to therapy and stuff. My thing is this: no one knows you better than yourself. You can go to therapy for years and just be bullshitting basically because you're not ready to dig within yourself. So all I'm saying is at your own pace, go within yourself and really just examine things first with your own eyes. And you know, when you need help, that's when you can go ahead and by help, I just mean because when you think about a therapist, all a therapist is really doing is talking you through your own self discovery. So they're walking you through memory lane. Basically, if you were to picture memory lane, is you holding hands with somebody and walking through that shit and being like, hey, you remember that? Yeah, that probably is the reason why you acting like this. Yeah, that shit hurt your feelings. Remember that? So it's like kind of that vibe, you know what I'm saying? But you could do this yourself too, because you know, Again, everybody different. So some people want people around when they do that process, other people don't. But I know, yeah. So that's all I'm gonna say. You know, some people can't afford those things though, and that's kind of what I'm speaking at. Is like some people can't afford that, and some people aren't even ready. So they know they might need help, but they don't even know where to start. And starting is you can start by just sitting with yourself and asking yourself certain questions, like, you know, when I'm feeling a certain way, why do I react that way to that feeling? Or why is my first reaction to certain things happening this? And when you start asking yourself questions like that, it helps you look at that subconscious space and be like, oh, it's like a map. And you start to decipher the map. You like, oh, damn, okay, I'll be over here in this space because of back when I was X, Y, and Z age. I needed to do that to protect myself. And it's like you might it's always something new to discover. Same thing as like even a natal chart. You look at your natal chart, it's always something. I've been doing astrology for years, man. Like maybe, damn, I don't even want to since the 2000s. You know what I'm saying? Single digit 2000s. I've been into like understanding astrology, and it's every time I look at it, it's still something new I see in my own chart, and it's cool. You know what I'm saying? It's just it goes to show you that's what life really is about. It's all about getting deeper with yourself and uncovering different things in your own self that you just didn't realize. And we always go through another experience. I swear, every time I go through another experience, it'd be like, damn, like I was so dumb. I didn't even peep this. I didn't even know I was doing that. You know what I'm saying? And again, grace with yourself. It's like I ain't dumb. I just ain't know. I just wasn't aware. The same thing with you. So again, going back to what I was saying in the very beginning about shame, the shame that sometimes you might subconsciously be carrying with you, and considering how this you know influences how you be moving and how you be treating others and stuff like that. Like I even how they say hurt people is just that the reason why is because they feel unsafe and they feel disconnected with themselves. So really it's about connecting more with yourself always. You know what I'm saying? Safety and connecting with yourself. So when you get the jerk feeling to kind of go off the rails, maybe you even in the spiral of negativity, you can always catch yourself and be like, okay, where am I disconnected at? What's disconnecting? And again, it might not come to you like that. It might take you, whether depending on who you are and what you do, whether it's isolating, again, all these different things can be healthy or unhealthy depending on how you go about it. So don't isolate at the expense of the people who care for you. You know what I'm saying? You need to consider that behavior and how it's toxic. But my point is the reason you even doing something like isolating is because that's probably a defense mechanism you had when you was a kid trying to figure out the world, dealing with things that no one else could teach you about. Because even as a parent can only teach their awareness, but as a child, everybody's an individual. That child is having a internal experience that it's very hard to even express that. You know what I'm saying? So it's so many layers of shit get deep. The best thing you can do is to be the best version of you and at least be there for people as they go through these different transitions. You know what I'm saying? um, if you're able to, depending on where you at and who you are and who is in relation to you. If they are somebody you care about, the best thing you could do is be patient and be there. You know what I'm saying? Be there for. But again, it's always a two-way street. Any relationship, any communication, anything dealing with anything external is like it's a two-way street. So they have to also want to help themselves and also make efforts to connect to you. You know what I'm saying? So we can't lose track of that. That's where it gets very complex. But you know, but I will say this: if you're looking to get a reading or a consultation from me, you can hit me up at 717conference.info@gmail.com, because these are the type of things we get into, whether we're looking at your natal chart or let's say you just want to talk about a circumstance and situation. Like I like to look at astrology to correlate different things to energies and get fancy with it, if you will. But at the same time, it's still it's psychology. That's really what uh I'm interested in, you know what I'm saying? I'm interested in the astrology, or I'm good at the astrology, but I'm also interested and intrigued by just the way our minds work and how we design our minds from a spiritual aspect to reality, because a lot of the correlations, it's kind of like, I look at it as it's a practice, you know what I'm saying? That's what they actually consider. It's a practice. It's something that, you know, on my journey, I'm also learning from the people I engage with as well, But enough about me. Getting back to these transits. So the moon being in Virgo, um, again, so the trine, grand Earth trine with Uranus and Pluto, we're in a space where we can have a strong connection with our transformation and our individuality. So, that's a recipe for you really, stabilizing yourself. That could be very stabilizing for you. So these next couple of days could be days that you take advantage of the stabilizing energy of the earth and kind of get very strong and secure on how you're going about your transformation and understanding, recognizing this is my individual path, and that's what it is. And then the opportunity with Scorpio is the way you're getting that stability is by doing a deep dive within yourself and getting to the root of what the emotional things that need to be uncovered are. You know what I'm saying? One thing about Scorpio being that it's fixed emotion and being that the moon is in a mutable earth sign, basically you can start to make sense of things in a way that help you move that emotion. So what you are reacting to can help you transmute maybe stuck emotions that'll help you kind of move. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of like a practice that you can have. Also, a lot of times we go through transits and they affect different parts of the body. So let's say you have gut issues. Right now, you should consider either, maybe getting more what they call them probiotics or things, basically things that help you flush your gut. And you should be really mindful of overeating right now, because overeating at a time like this, uh it might hold and stick to your gut, and things that are affecting your gut also we know affect our mind. So based upon you maybe overeating because of the stress, or overeating or over consuming things because of negative emotion, that might cause health problems down the line, or currently, based upon you just again not knowing how to deal with the energy. So you might do something in response to try to soothe it, and that very same thing you do to try to soothe the body be harmful to the body. See, that's one that and that kind of goes correlates with what I was talking about before with the spirit creating the mind and the other organs that make the body, and how the things we end up thinking are the right thing to do, soothing the body, because when we get a negative feeling we automatically think that we're wrong, that something is wrong, that something is bad. We correlate discomfort with bad. So when the body feels bad, whether emotionally or physically, through like, stomach hurt or something like that, we rush and try to do something to fix what the body feels. That's how people are raised and taught. So when that happens, a lot of times what we think is trying, and it's especially bad because see things that are affecting the mind that we try to soothe through the body, a lot of times those things just cause more problems, whether they be substance abuse or things like overeating, overindulging in things like sugar and stuff like that that lead to other problems, health problems like diabetes and stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's like all these different things. It gets so deep that you really just have to be mindful of what you're doing with the body. The body is like a very expensive car, so you gotta treat it with certain care and certain levels of attention. Like, what I'm saying, you wouldn't, how like you might be behind somebody, right? You might be driving like a Honda or something like that, but you behind somebody in one of them nice low rider cars, right? Let's say y'all going over like a speed bump. Now you in this Honda, you like, man, hurry up, man, just drive over the damn speed bump. But the person, they know their car, they like, this is a nice car and it's low, so I need to go over this extra slow. It's like that kind of shit. You got to drive your body, you got to move the body. Remember, the spirit is moving this body. You got to move your body like a high price car. You got to look this shit like a luxury vehicle. Or basically, you can live it however you want to live it though. Whether you decided that your body, because some people decide they body a sports car and they want to drive fast, and how they say, what, live fast, die young. Some people want to move like that, but you just got to know what the fuck you riding in. You know what I'm saying? You got to move it and maneuver it in respect to what vehicle you have. If you have a worn out Honda, then yeah, man, fuck it, hit every speed bump. You know what I'm saying? But if you done spent time and you're, you know what I'm saying, you spent time with yourself and you know what you're doing, then if you respect yourself, you respect your body, whip that shit like you got respect. Shout out to Kashan, you know what I'm saying? Said hello, sir. Lots of respect and support. Much love. I appreciate you. I really appreciate that, you know. So, you know, that's just a food for thought, you know what I'm saying? Just you gotta whip that shit how you want it to be. And even in a sense where how you look at yourself, and you might consider yourself like, you know, again, your self-image and your self-respect, your self-esteem is also important too. Because we should keep in mind too, in Scorpio, when the sun is in a certain place, our earth sign is in theory opposite to where the sun is. So the earth sign is in Taurus. So a lot of the ways we move is based upon either a lack thereof or an abundance of self value, self respect. You know what I'm saying? How you treat and behave yourself is reflected more than ever now. You know what I'm saying? Based upon how you go about different things. You know, so you should just kind of keep self-respect, self-value, understand like how much you value yourself, consider that and keep that in the back of your mind and not, you know, yeah, treat yourself with some value and respect. Um, so moving into what? Yeah, we talked about the moon in Virgo. We talked about this grand earth trine. Let's say moon in Virgo also is, oh, this is a good one, opposite Saturn. It's a good topic, not necessarily a good alignment, but moon opposite Saturn. Again, some conflict going on with reality and the construction of it. Again, before you can really get to the designing of your reality, you have to first lay the groundwork. You know, before you can decorate your house, you have to lay a foundation and build the walls. You feel me? So this is kind of that process where the moon wants to, and see, it's I can't say it's the moon being in Virgo might have you worried about what you're building more than, and so you can spend time worrying about what you're building, or you can direct that worry, you can transmute it into attention that you're directing towards what needs to be worked on, if that makes sense. Like you could sit there and worry, oh man, I didn't get this done. I got to do this. I can do it. Or you could say, oh damn, okay, this is on my mind. Okay, that might be the first thing I need to do. I need to direct my stress towards getting this solved. And once I get this piece solved, I can work on the next piece. And then before you know it, step by step, you've built the wall. You built the, you know, say you laid the foundation. You built the wall. You got the wiring and the electric all connected and stuff like that. Now it's like, oh damn, all I got to do is paint, then I can decorate the crib. So think about what you're trying to build and design as far as your reality. Think of it as a step by step process, and whatever is causing stress or making you respond to different things in a way that, again, is coming from a place of anxiety and worry, direct those feelings towards, uh, you know, solutions, direct those feelings towards actually addressing things that could be done realistically. You know what I'm saying? He said, to be honest, for myself, my dad is my sun and my mom is my moon. They are my everything. You know what I'm saying? That's cool. Hey, look, I respect that. But, you know, I respect that. That's cool. That's cool for you. I'm not going to, you know, but I would say, you know, depending on your age and like, you know, consider, well, how would I say that? That's good. You know what I'm saying? Just, yeah. I would just say this: make sure you live in your life too. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you live in your life in that if your life is to, you know, you know, have them in your heart and have them in your mind, and your idea of who you want to be is reflections of them, that's cool. But you know, just make sure you live in your life for you too, because you know, yeah, just make sure you live in your life for you. That's all I'm gonna say. You know, because with things like that, um everybody, yeah, yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. But continuing on. So the moon in Virgo also, you know, opposite Pisces, Saturn, that's kind of the whole thing. When you're building yourself and your and let me clear that up, because basically what I mean by that is you also want to make sure you live in your life so that you know you're not taking your own life for granted. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes people will live for other people to avoid the work that they need to do in their own life. You know what I'm saying? So as long as that's not going on, as long as you're not avoiding things through trying to live for other people, then you know what I'm saying, then you should be good, but you should just consider, through them, what did they birth you to do. You know what I'm saying? Because they had you to take they memory and they thought and they feelings further. You know what I'm saying? So you should be living life to push further in your own direction too. And not just summing your world to them. You know what I'm saying? I don't know your age. I don't know, what you've been through and shit like that. So I can't say, oh, this is, I'm not saying anything even correlated to right or wrong, but just, in general. But yeah. So moving forward, like, the moon opposite Saturn, that's kind of what we might be dealing with, is a little bit anxiety towards there. Don't let it freak you out. Let it inspire you to put more work into making those things a reality. And again, easier said than done, because you might encounter fatigue, and you might even, one thing with Virgo energy, you might wake up and want to take over the world and shit like that, and do a bunch of things and then burn yourself out. So also don't do that. Scorpio is good for that too. Scorpio in general, fighting, 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 fighting all day, exhaust themselves by the nighttime, before the day even started, you know what I'm saying? Just based upon too many feelings and too many thoughts. Because that's what you get. Like, what Scorpio and Virgo relate on is overabundance of, for Virgo, thoughts, and for Scorpio, feelings. So you can exhaust yourself you can exhaust yourself, give yourself a headache, give yourself a stomach ache, stomach ulcers, and things like that, just based upon you being too in your own head about what you want to do. You know what I'm saying? Just make sure you do it, get it out. Scorpio, it's got to come out some way. It's got to be released, and make sure you're releasing it in a healthy way, because some people get overwhelmed, and the first thing they do is, like I was saying before, to avoid feeling overwhelmed, they do something to soothe the body and make it easier to handle something else. But in that, you could either end up destroying the body, distracting yourself, wasting time, and misdirecting energy. You know what I'm saying? That just comes from that. Like I was saying about impulse control, you might be so overwhelmed, instead of getting up to write that book or paint that painting, you sit down and scroll, just to take your mind off of things, or you go run to, again, whatever pleasure it is that you have, that might be acting as a escape mechanism. Venus being in this is a good segue. Venus being in Sagittarius, we could be using our pleasures as scapegoats. So try not to be on that end, where subconsciously, somewhere deep down inside, you're using these things to escape from responsibilities. That's the thing with Sagittarius. Everything is about escapism on some level, or expansion. Sagittarius is best when they are uh, willing to handle, um, when they're willing to go through the full process of something. A lot of times, Sagittarius are known for kind of being high on the beginning of something, because even like the nature of, if you want to say correlated with the arrow, right? It's like being high on the first thing, right? High on the rise. But when that arrow hits the horizon and it starts to go down, that's when they panic. And it's like strategies are best when they know how to embrace the full trajectory, because what they learn on the come down is the thing that make them wise. It's the thing that makes them a guru. It's like, oh wow, like if you were to think like somebody who, like a celebrity, right, who reached the highest highs, but then knew how to gracefully fall, they become a wealth of knowledge. They become, like, again, grandfather with all the wisdom. Like, damn, you did that. Oh wow, like I didn't even know. Damn, and they're able to connect to, not only connect to the people on that level, but they're also able to aspired, inspire those who aspire to be at the highest heights of whatever they do. So they become inspirational gurus and stuff like that. Those are one version of the Sagittarius, but the low octave Sagittarius are ones who didn't know how to embrace the fall, the full trajectory. So they were all about the high and they wanted to stay high. So what happens is that's when they become drunks. That's when they become addicts, because instead of embracing the fall, they get hooked. They almost like emulate constantly running from that truth and reality. So they think they still on top. So they move and to cope with the reality, they kind of do things to keep them in somewhat of a fantasy land. So I say that to say, when we have Venus in Sagittarius during this transit, don't allow yourself, like, don't run away from the things that resemble the fall. Embrace the full trajectory or something. You know what I'm saying? Let that be let it be what it is. Hold on real quick. All right. You know what I'm saying? So going into the moon, yeah, so the moon also, that's the segue, is the moon is squaring Venus. So um again, learning the difference between responsibility and what I was just talking about, the things that might influence you to be on the escapism tip. So you have to be kind of aware of that. It's kind of learning how to respond to stress without running to a pleasure, or learning how to respond to work and staying consistent routine, but how to not get over, not how to not let that what I'm saying, how to kind of stay, basically, like, in a sense, like how to stay sober, you know what I'm saying, but not literally, but figuratively, like how to stay on task even when you have a flux of emotion. So a lot of people can make a lot of quick decisions. They might make a decision to run to the pleasure thing just to soothe what's stressing them out. You know what I'm saying? They might run to the thing that's going to make them feel more comfortable and secure, based upon not, it's like there's work to be done. So just because you might have, it's like you got to think like this too sometimes. Like sometimes it's not about just running to, like, let's say, like, if you got something to do, you got a responsibility. Um Sometimes you got to put that up in front of what it is that feels good. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't always, every time you stress, run to that thing that's going to soothe and it kind of goes to the point of instant gratification versus a delayed gratification, right? And so this is a good transit to kind of learn how to have more of a delayed gratification. And the thing about a delayed gratification, a lot of times you can get a lot more out of that. It's kind of like the more you put in, the bigger investment you put in, the bigger return on investment you have the potential to get. So it's like you have to kind of learn how to delay some of that gratification in order to get more out of it, versus the second you're trying to get, gratification, you run to the thing that's going to give you the quick hit of dopamine. The problem with that is you start to live a very small life. There's big things you're trying to do, or big changes you're trying to make. And when I say big changes, I mean you might be trying to change your living conditions or your circumstances, but you can't stop buying food every weekend or every day. You know what I'm saying? You can't stop buying, what I'm saying, $20 meals. You can't stop hitting the little fish spot with the fried catfish, and what I'm saying. You can't stop doing little stuff that all your money is going to. Delay that gratification a little bit. Say, you know what, I'm not going to buy money. I'm not going to spend money on food, uh, or a lot of. I'm going to budget myself for a certain amount of time, and then I'll reward myself later. You know what I'm saying? Try to learn how to, and again, that goes back to impulse control too. You know what I'm saying? Because the impulse is, oh, I had a stressful day at work. I'm finna go get that fish plate. I had a stressful day at work. I'm finna go buy me another zip. You know what I'm saying? I'm finna go do this. I'm finna go do that. And you're not thinking long term of, again, delayed gratification for a bigger outcome, a bigger goal. So the moon in Virgo squaring Venus in Sag, also Venus is Sag. That's the big spender. You know what I'm saying? Venus is Sag, over exaggeration of funds or value and things like that. Even it could even play out as you overvaluing something just because you want it in the moment, and you go broke trying to get it, and then you get it and realize, damn, this ain't shit. This was really just me avoiding not having something that I really wanted. It's like you might have been saving up for a car, but because it's like you just, again, some people shop, like how they say what, retail therapy or something like that. It's like you're trying to save up towards something, but you went and made a big purchase over something that you over exaggerated the value of, just because you couldn't get that bigger thing that you really wanted. So you really wanted that car, but you seen this handbag that you really wanted, or these new shoes that you really wanted, and over exaggerated the value of those, because you're like, man, if I just bought these, I feel more comfortable. I feel good. You might even come up with some kind of weird correlation to how it's gonna make you get the car faster or something like that. So, be careful, be mindful of how you spend it and how you even going about different things. You know what I'm saying? Also, when it comes to the moon in Virgo, learning these aspects. So the moon in Virgo is here. It can actually be beneficial because the moon will kind of teach that Venus a little bit. It has the potential to teach it more restraint, but it can also be equally destructive if you don't learn the right lessons, because it'll drive you to, because of the stress, what triggers you ends up leading you to try to do things with Venus that don't need to be done. Again, overindulging, exaggerating certain things, going to the extreme. That's all Sag energy. Now, when it comes to the moon in Virgo, also is going to be sextiling Mercury. So opportunities to, again, do the same thing with your mind that I was talking about, the relationship with the sun. So diving deep into your subconscious and being able to pull different facts and information out to make get more clear on what's going on internally. So this is digging more within yourself, or this could be you going overboard with criticizing things. So could be you communicating extremely negatively based upon perception that's being influenced by negative emotional bias. So based upon you in a bad mood, or you feeling suspicious, or you feeling paranoid, and you not addressing your own trauma or your own issues, you're going to start pointing the fingers, and you might even try to dig and get information on people, places, and things outside of you. You might try to investigate your loved one, or look at dig inside your partner, like go through your partner phone, or go through this, go through that, trying to find something to justify maybe the disconnect you feel within yourself, or to justify negative feelings you might be going through. So you become super, like, again, Inspector Gadget. You got all the gadgets, you know how to hack into all this shit. You like the little hackers on the TV, on the movies and shit like that, like, what I'm saying, cracking codes and stuff like that, all because you're desperately trying to find something that could justify why you feel negative about your own self. You know what I'm saying? And it could be you feeling bad about yourself, or just you feeling upset. You might be going through a negative emotion. Again, we have to look inside ourselves to realize when we're just reacting versus when we're responding to things. So don't react um, by trying to dig deep and try to find something to be a problem. Instead, try to address your own issues before you try to engage with what somebody else outside of you is doing to you, because that might not even be the case. Again, this is energy where it's like you can feel so fueled and motivated to dig and get information and do this, but whole time you might be building a case on the wrong things. You might be digging and doing all this dirt just to find. It's like, and the thing is, how they say, I think it's an African proverb, or some, if you look for something, you're gonna find it, you know what I'm saying, because it's just the nature of your mind, you know what I'm saying. He said, I'm talking to you. Real shit. It's like the nature of your mind. It's like what your mind is on, you will find, whether it be a real legitimate example or it be a fake one. And the thing is, yeah, it's like you don't want to be a self-fulfilling prophecy on that end, when you could be you could be directing all of that powerful, beautiful mental energy to something better. You know what I'm saying? That is great energy you could do, that you could utilize to sit with yourself and discover new things about you that can make you even more resilient. And if someone is doing dirt on you, let them tell on themselves, and let them kind of, I get it, you know what I'm saying. Nobody wants to be vulnerable like that. But that's one of the things you got to realize, that you allowing yourself to be vulnerable isn't really a weakness. It's the most powerful thing you can do. If you're being genuine in a situation where another person is trying to take advantage of you, even if they get away with something, what they get away with won't be the thing that you really think is of value. What they really get away with, all they really do is expose themselves, and they separate themselves from your energy. And again, rejection ends up being protection in a lot of ways. So it's like, so what? You know what I'm saying? It might hurt a little bit, of course. You feel betrayed or whatever. But again, feelings fade and things, transform, and you can transmute anything. So it's kind of like it's a practice, so many times in life we want to guard our heart. And the thing about it is it don't do nothing but hurt you in the long run, because by guarding your heart and moving, trying to maneuver the world in a either avoidant way, or trying to, what I'm saying, whatever it is, you not being trusting, not being vulnerable, you, again, it cheapens your life experience. It makes your life boxed in. It limits your ability to reach all possibilities. So you hurt more than, versus you being more open to open and allowing yourself to be vulnerable and free. What you experience is those who do wrong by you will be basically, I don't want to say taken care of on some voodoo, like how they talk about in pop culture spirituality, but you'll be surprised. The universe don't, it's like how they say God don't like ugly. It's like, it's just something about it. Your aura, it will radiate a certain level of protection, where even the most foul thing somebody might try to do to you, it's like you'll be either be able to catch it, or it'll be something that separates what could have been the worst decision of your life. By, what I'm saying, again, what you found might be what hurt you, but versus what, what I'm saying, versus getting too linked into a reality of things that take you down a line of just, again, you could have got roped into an experience that you wouldn't be. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Free, you know what I'm saying? Woo woo, you know what I'm saying? Get that nigga out of here. The hell you talking about? Weirdo, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, so yeah, getting back into the mix. Moon also is going to be in conjunct Chiron. So misunderstanding how to think, and how to think about our mistakes. You know what I'm saying? Again, be connected with yourself, digging with yourself, doing that shadow work. Being that they both, oh no, they don't share Mars, but being that we're in Scorpio season and it's automatic in conjunction with Chiron, that's kind of like, I would say, in a lot of ways, an underlying theme. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Um, in a lot of ways, it was like, what I mean by that is the Scorpio aspect, right? Scorpio aspect getting deep, looking at past mistakes and things like that. That we are, with Chiron and Aries, it's been that theme of identity. You know what I'm saying? It's that theme of identity. So when you looking at who you are, right? And a lot of people will define themselves from the sum of their mistakes. And again, when you're doing things like that, and you're coming at life in that kind of angle, in that kind of way, you um you can do a lot of damage to yourself. You know what I'm saying? You can do a lot of more, you can do a lot of harm to yourself in ways that, you know, uh you can do a lot of harm to yourself based upon you not knowing, basically, like, how to separate your mistakes and who you used to be from who you are either currently or trying to be. So it's kind of like, just, I say that to say, don't harm yourself by trying to by it's like, don't limit yourself in your growth based upon what you might have done in the past as a mistake. You know what I'm saying? You still have the ability to grow and transform through that. So that's kind of the relationship between the sun and Scorpio, and the Chiron and Aries. You know what I'm saying? Chiron and Aries, you took a lot of those mistakes personal. But the sun being in Scorpio, it's like, okay, well, what's the actual alternative motive? Like, where are you actually deeply trying to go? You know what I'm saying? Where are you trying to move? And based upon that, is gonna show you basically better ways to get there. You know what I'm saying? If you're able to face those things head on rather than trying to avoid them and run from them. You know what I'm saying? If you look at those mistakes as just past versions of yourself and then whatever you're experiencing now as the correction of that previous behavior, then you're on the path of growth versus, allowing those mistakes to cloud your judgment and kind of be a staple of, oh, I'm only the sum of my mistakes. Even if people around you in your life are constantly throwing these things in your face, you just recognize them as, this is these are the this is the cross I'm meant to bear. I was previously in these mindsets, and if I'm as strong as I say I am, I'm here to be a new representative in the light of my past and move past that by, again, transmuting those things. So even if someone throws something in your face, take it, respond to it, not react to it. Don't react, because when you react, your chances are you're going to react in ways that show resemblances of where your previous mind state was in. But with the moon in conjuncting this energy as well, how we feel about past mistakes also are on our mind, and we might be overthinking about these things. So try not to, what I'm saying, you know, try not to allow that to also make you overthink. You know what I'm saying? Try not to let that influence your mind in a way that kind of throws you off your path or whatever you're on the journey to do. It's kind of like, don't let it stop you. You know what I'm saying? Don't let it be a reason why you second guess yourself. Um, but again, going within yourself and looking at these subconscious triggers, that's going to help you make more sense of why you even made those mistakes in the past. And honestly, Chiron is making its way out of Aries too, so we should be. Let me see. Chiron is, where's Aries at? Yeah, Chiron is like 20. Well, it's like 20 degrees. So we still got a good bit of Chiron in Aries. But moving forward, let's see what else we got. We got the moon in Virgo, sextile in Mars in Cancer. So Mars is making its way out of Cancer. It's at 26 degrees. With the moon sextile in Mars, it's the opportunity for you to, again, work on some of your passions too. Direct your passions. I was talking about how Mars leaving Cancer, we want to nurture our passions with enough. Basically, we want to boost it enough to be able to stand on stage and be able to be pushing and fight in the direction that we really want Mars to go. So when it comes to our passions and what we're trying to do, we want to set ourselves up for that to be. We want to give it all the encouragement it needs. We want to give it all the nurturing it needs so that it's feeling up to the challenge, because it's going to be a challenge. Because I believe it's going to be in Leo while we are still going through the sun in Scorpio. And matter of fact, actually, I think it's actually going to go retrograde back into Cancer. So that's even a bigger thing when it comes to Mars. Mars right now has been playing the background just by its placement, but it's going to be at a very tough position because Mars in Leo, even though this is it's not a bad placement. Again, this is your passions being kind of, again, put on center stage, and a lot of what you might be motivated to do might be driven by things that are more correlated to getting attention, right? And getting attention versus, it's the difference between, trying to be the star of the show, but it's like there's a person who has a purpose and a mission, and then there's a person who's trying to be popular and famous. You know what I'm saying? So you might mix the two or do something in a way where you're too focused on getting the attention. And when you don't see the attention that you want, you start to pull back and get in slack up, and those things can be detrimental to your overall goal and what you're trying to strive for. You might let certain things kind of deter you, distract you, and before you know it, saying you directing all that passion towards the wrong things, and this can be damaging to your status, because what we're going to also experience is the Mars being opposite Pluto. So Mars being opposite Pluto, again, this is a disconnect between what we're passionate about and how we're showing that passion, and how we're transforming our status to be in a position to be able to network and connect and associate with others who have a common goal and a common mentality. So you don't want to get caught up in that flux based upon you being too into your ego when it comes to your passions, thinking who you are is more important than the mission, or who you are is more important than somebody else and stuff like that. So we have to temper that down and the best way to do that now, again, with Mars and Cancer, we can influence, we can give our, we can basically soothe the insecurities that might come from what we're passionate about by, we have to soothe those insecurities. Basically, we have to address some of the more deeper subconscious issues that we have with ourselves in relation to success. Because again, especially in today's age, everybody want to be the viral star. Everybody want to be rich or in some kind of position where they can live the life that they see everybody else live online. But if you, again, either you're putting in the work and you're earning that and you getting what you deserve, or you still got some work to do. And if you don't see yourself in that position, what you gonna do? What you gonna choose to do anyway? Because it's not guaranteed that everybody's going to be viral. It's not guaranteed everybody's going to be on some kind of position and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So you really have to make sure you know what you're doing and how you're directing this energy. Shout out to Free. You know what I'm saying? So you got to make sure you know what you're doing and you directing those energies in the right way. Because again, now just like it can be negative, it can be very positive, where because of the pride you take in your passion and where you're directing it and how you work and operate that stage, right? The attention you get is positive, and what that does is it builds and expands in a way that creates balance. And it's almost like the status that you've been working on, right, through the transformations you've been going through internally and externally, right? Associating yourself different, these become, oh damn, not only do you are you playing that role properly, you are gaining status and traction with it, and what you're building looks substantial and like something that other people want to be a part of. So this is where Mars can balance with Pluto, to where now you have a passion that can be supported amongst, it's almost like you are, with that balance, you have a passion that can have center stage, but that stage can also be occupied with others of unique talents who can also support and associate with what you're passionate about. So this is like joint passions. This is community passions, and when I say community passions, I mean stuff like what we doing with the 717 conference, where we put people on stage for everybody to get a piece of the light. You know what I'm saying? We even the show that we making, if we finna drop. You know what I'm saying? It's like we're giving that spotlight and attention to multiple different individuals who all share a common sentiment as far as what we're trying to build and how we're trying to change the world and things like that. So, very powerful things could be happening. Now, again, that's one example, but no matter what you're going through in life, it could be something similar to that regard, because a lot of y'all have talents and things like that. So, whatever talent you have, this the balance of being able to have, it's like to be the best in your field, but to also be, and when I say the best in your field, I mean you the best version of you, but to be powerful in what you do, but to also have the ability to associate yourself with others who are operating on the same intensity or on the same level. So everybody wins on that tip. You know what I'm saying? Everybody has a chance to shine on that tip. And I'm not talking about no kumbaya shit. You really have to put in the work and be creating something of quality. And again, the people around you should match that quality. And in a lot of ways, they should inspire you to want to go harder, and vice versa. They inspire you to go harder, and you inspire them to go harder. So that's what's going on with Mars. But currently, with its sextile with Virgo, is you being able to kind of get into the details of what you're passionate about and start to, again, Virgo is tricky because it's going to make you think what's negative. It's going to make you think something is that's really positive is negative. So the stress you feel and the attention to, like, the awareness of something that needs to be worked on, you can look at it as negative, but it's very positive, because it could be the influence that helps you make the right adjustments and make the right improvements that will actually impact you in a positive way. So don't just shy away. Oh, I feel uncomfortable today, and think it's bad. Don't give up on the day you just woke up. Come on, like, what I'm saying, turn that shit around. Look at what you can do and start to work and improve on those things. And if you work on small things, you'll be surprised at how many big things you'll accomplish by just paying attention to the small things you do have control over. And that's how you make real change in your own life. And when you make change in your life, you change your circumstances, and when you change your circumstances, you change the people in them circumstances, and you can change their life for the better, on and so forth. So it's a domino effect. You do one thing, you'll be surprised where the next thing ends up being affected. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Yeah, and Virgo ain't negative, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying though. That's what I'm saying. Virgo energy will make you feel like something is negative, aka stress or bringing your attention to something that needs to be worked on. But that's actually very positive, you know what I'm saying? So don't just assume that, what you're going through that might be uncomfortable is bad, you know what I'm saying? Not at all saying that Virgo is negative. Virgo is actually one of the most, Virgo is the sign of service. Virgo is the most helpful sign, you know what I'm saying? Everything that they might come at as a criticism, a lot of times it's to help, you know what I'm saying? All Virgos heartbeat, really, or most Virgos hearts be in the right place when they are, even if they are sounding like they're trying to construct you on something. A lot of times all that energy it's in the right place, just how you receive it. Again, you might not, you as an individual might be in a space that you don't want to hear that, or you don't want to, but and I'm a Pisces, so sometimes I'll be like, I'm not trying to hear no criticism right now. I'm not trying to hear no improvement shit. I'm not trying to hear no earth. But at the same time, even with me, what I'm saying, me having learning in my life as I grew, it's like that Virgo energy really be the most helpful. And that's why they are the sign of service, coming at things of service and always looking at ways that something can improve. It's just, sometimes it come off, it come off in a way you like, I ain't trying to hear that. But that be the thing you need to hear. You know what I'm saying? They the ones who saying the things that you need to hear. And so when the moon is in Virgo, it's the same effect. It's like this is shit that you need to hear. You need to know that. You need to feel that anxiety. You need to feel that pressure because it's directing you. Again, all emotions are signals and there are information in those signals. And it's just pointing you somewhere. You know what I'm saying? The second you allow that signal to be more bigger than what it is, and you try to run from it, guess what? That signal is now DEFCON 5. That signal becomes a problem. You know what I'm saying? How, like, again, you might be riding around, that check engine light come on, right? Now you might not want to look and pay attention to that check engine light, but it's trying to tell you, hey, look, I need service. So you need to take your shit to get service. And if you don't, guess what? That check engine light gonna be the reason why your shit, down the road and shit like that, stop working on you. So, that's just something, every time the moon is in Virgo, it's like a check engine light for your whip, your body. And so don't lose sight of that, keep your mind on the bigger picture and keep working towards what it is that you trying to get done, because that's the most important thing, you know what I'm saying? Um, let's see what else we got. We got the moon in Virgo. Yeah, we talked about, yeah, last but not least, I think the only thing we haven't talked about is the moon squaring Jupiter. So this is a square on the mercurial end. So again, this might be even reviewing bad advice, saying that either you gave yourself or that you accepted because you may have trusted in another individual, but you realize that that's not actually where your heart is. That's not really where you are supposed to be. You might have took advice based upon you worrying and panicking about your life and not knowing what you want to do, and so you went along with certain things, but you might start to learn a little bit more based upon the information and you sitting with the information. It's like when somebody tell you something, and because y'all might have been out and you might have been down, and they might have been just talking, and you might have been like, you know what, that sound good, right? What they said might have sounded good in the moment, but then you went home and you thought about it, you're like, that shit don't make no sense. It's kind of like that vibe. So, this is you reviewing choices you made based upon maybe other people's advice or ways that you decided to go about a situation based upon what you thought you knew. And this might be the new information coming in that makes you see kind of new sides to the aspect and be like, oh damn, wait, hold on, I may need to review this, I might need to go about this differently. And so the best thing to do, again, these both share Mercury, so this is kind of like a more of a positive square than others, you know what I'm saying? If you're able to not have too many feelings attached to new information. If you're still, again, the crutch of this season is going to be emotional biases. So if your emotional bias is influencing you or encouraging you to stay stuck on a certain way of going about something when you know in your heart it's not working, then that's when you kind of realize, oh, okay, yeah, I might be stuck in this bias, you know. And when I say emotional bias, I just mean, um, you know, it's different having a bias versus making a choice. You know, you can choose something that might not be easy to do, but you know why you chose it, and it's coming from a place of intention and you being real with yourself. You're like, yeah, this might not always feel good, but I still want to do it. Like, for instance, you might have a job that you don't like, and again, you know, you just like, man, fuck this job, but you know what it represents and you know what you're doing with it, so you choose to do it even though it be uncomfortable and stuff like that, because it's a means to an end, or you're just trying to get through a certain, you know what I'm saying, you got a use for where that check is going, versus an emotional bias. You attach to not getting a job, or you trying to stay at the job to avoid the feeling of doing something that you know you're supposed to be doing. It's like, you know, that's the difference of the two. It's like emotional bias is more so you trying to avoid something, or you coming to a conclusion based upon not dealing with unresolved feelings. So you just assuming something is a certain way because you're too scared to see for yourself, or you know what I'm saying, you're going through your own little resistance. So it's different. That's what I mean by the difference between the two. But with the moon in Virgo squaring Jupiter retrograde in Gemini, again, the new information you're getting, if you're too attached to that emotional bias, you'll disregard that new information and just try to hard head stick with what you know ain't working. And that's what I'm getting at, versus what we're supposed to be doing, the more high octave version, you coming across new information and realizing, oh, okay, this actually could be new things that I can utilize to help me. And so that, you know, and again, that takes a certain level of you being vulnerable and you being real with yourself, because you might have had all the conviction in the world out of for a direction that you was going, but life is showing you, oh wait, there might be a better way to go about it. Might be a better way to go about it. And so, you know, the more responsible, wise thing to do is to respond to that. You know what I'm saying? And that way, you know, the quicker you're able to kind of be, you know, mutable and switch up, you know, that's going to be better for you in the long run. You know, there's less resistance, and you'll be able to get further with what you're doing than, you know, being just kind of stuck in your head. But yeah, so that's pretty much the main thing. Let me see some of these asteroids. You know, we got Lilith still in Libra. So this is being afraid to relate certain things, you know what I'm saying? Kind of being mistrustful a little bit of relating, and you kind of, I'm not gonna say you should be, but again, with Scorpio, like I said before, keeping an eye on people who are moving out of desperation, and people who aren't willing to sit with themselves and um, address certain subconscious issues that they have, you know. And again, you can't make somebody do their shadow work. So it's not even about you trying to be like, hey, you doing your homework. It's not about doing that, but it is about just being mindful of people in your life that you know, yeah, you ain't really digging deeper into what you be doing. You just kind of moving and responding. But yeah, the moon in conjunct North Node, you know, misunderstanding how to work towards our spiritual path, or how to work on our spiritual path. And again, it's really, it's simple in the sense of do the things that do the things you be trying to push off. You know what I'm saying? Do the things you know you should have been doing, but you've been trying to push off. And again, don't let uncertainty or misunderstanding keep you from making progress. You can still get up and do what you know you're supposed to do. You've been working on something. Don't just completely give up on what you've been working on. Keep working on that. And again, it's like one thing I've learned about even you know, making music. Sometimes when I'm making an album, midway through the album, or it kind of happens in quarters. I'll like look at what I've made so far and kind of be discouraged a little bit and be like, damn, I don't even feel like this the same album I was trying to make. And you know, it'll make me kind of question myself. But what I've learned is that when you sit with things for long enough, right, it- it- that's part of the process. Part of the process is getting to a point. It's like how even the seasons are. Starts in the spring where everything is beautiful. Summertime is the peak, but then things fall. And then it goes to the winter where it looks completely opposite to where the birth of things was. And you got to question, like, is this really what I'm doing? Is this really what I'm meant to do? But then it all comes back around. So it's all part of the process. Sometimes you be doing something, especially if you got, again, life being a journey in and of itself. You're going through different things, different phases, different seasons. At one point, yeah, you're going to be at the height of what you do, but there's going to be points where you're falling in that, and you're looking at it like, damn, what was the point? Why did I start this? And then if you stay consistent, though, you stay on track, it all comes back around. And then by the time the winter pass, and then we going through the spring again, you're able to be birthed anew. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of the same thing with the things you working on. It's like, and that's what I learned working on different projects and stuff like that. Is that when I get those feelings of uncertainty and not knowing, like, damn, like, okay, what was the concept when I started this? When I sit back and just allow myself, I observe maybe what I'm feeling in those moments, but I stay on track with it and I stay consistent. Eventually, it comes back to me, and it comes back to me even harder because there's things that I learned through the death phase, through the transformation, through the hard times, through the uncertainty. There's things I learned and picked up that make that were so necessary to the end result that had I not had that, it wouldn't have been what it is today. It wouldn't have meant what it means. That wouldn't have had that same meaning or impact had I not gone through that moment of uncertainty that allowed me to experiment with new things and see different sides of a certain thing. So when you're going through life, you might not see all the sides of certain things that you're doing until it comes back around. So you might just need to be patient. It's the equivalent of not every day gonna be your day. So there's times in which it's just you have to go with the flow of things and allow things to kind of, again, surrender to the current in a sense. But yeah, so that's about it. I hope y'all, what I'm saying, I want to say thank you for everybody who came through. I appreciate all y'all. What I'm saying? Again, this energy is very powerful for working on yourself. You want to make sure you're working on yourself instead of trying to over criticize others or being too hard on yourself in that sense. You want to make sure you encourage yourself to be able to make improvements and grow instead of holding yourself down based upon, beating yourself up because of emotional biases and shame. Um, yeah, make sure y'all are um, tapped in. Hey, shout out to Insight 11, man. Appreciate you, bro. You know what I'm saying? Y'all make sure y'all check him out. You know what I'm saying? For the most part. So, everybody make sure y'all doing y'all things. And yeah, staying focused. You know what I'm saying? This is not the time to let up. It's the fall season. So we have to gather ourselves and make use of the time that we have. Every day is a gift. And make sure you're doing the best you can with the time you got. Much love. I will catch you on the next one. Peace.